Good morning. Welcome to Math Today. All right, we are moving forward. Yesterday I told you that we would continue to work on adding and subtracting mixed numbers. We're going to take a pause on that. This year we've had a lot of in and out going home for virtual learning and e-learning. So we're running short on time. So this lesson should feel a lot easier to you today, and it's going to move us into decimals. Okay? Now before we start talking and saying, what's a decimal? Let me show you two examples. One type of decimal you all know about is when we work with money. So if I had $10.25, this part, the 0.25, is a decimal. Okay, it's very similar to a fraction. It's part of a whole piece of money, but it's not a whole dollar. Here's another decimal. I could say I have 0.5 of anything, okay? And really what that means is half. So we are going to learn what decimals mean, and you'll see them in money, you see them in math problems, and they're very similar to fractions. So that's why we teach them right after fractions. Question, Noah?
You said in and out.
What do you mean?
Like a burger place.
Well, yes. But you know what I mean, right? We've been in school, out of school, in school, out of school. Some of you have been quarantined individually. We're all at different places. So we're going to pick up here. So friends at home, don't worry so much about the mixed number adding and subtracting. We'll keep hitting that throughout the rest of our year's review. All right, so we are going to read this part at the top and think about our bar model as we're reading. Do I have a reader? Josiah, nice and loud.
Das is riding his bike home. He has 7/10 of a mile to go. Write an equivalent fraction to show how much Das has left to ride in hundredths of a mile. Oh no.
Okay, so let's go through and find the important stuff. Pencils ready? My marker's ready. Das is riding his bike home. Sets the story. We don't need it for the math problem. He has 7/10 of a mile to go. That's important. I'm going to circle that.
I'll underline.
That is fine. Write an equivalent fraction. I know equivalent is very important. To show how much Das has left to ride. Has left to. Okay, that means how much he's still got to go. And I need to write it in hundredths of a mile. Okay. So we don't even have to start solving yet. But that's how you should mark your problem up, okay? Now A, what fraction does the model show? We know fractions. We know this. What's the denominator of this fraction first? Hayden?
10.
10. And how many tenths are shaded? Josiah?
7.
7. What fraction does the model show? First thing we have to say is 7/10. And they say explain our reasoning. How could I explain that? Everyone that's unsure and just copies what we always write, think about it. How can we explain that? Because you all could do this. Emma?
It says he has 7/10 of a mile.
Okay. We know that out of 10/10, he has 7, right? That's what the model showed us. So you can use your own words if you've got some that you'd like to use, or you can borrow some of mine. 7/10, because you can do B/C if you'd like.
What do you mean by 10 spaces?
Like if I counted each, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, before I get too much further ahead, I'm going to let you finish writing and scroll my page up so I can finish writing at the bottom. All right. You guys all got this? Okay. All right, so I already filled that one in. I'm just going to rewrite the fraction so we don't forget. I'll leave my explanation off. B, what is the denominator of the fraction? Someone that hasn't answered in a while, be brave. What's the denominator? Quentin, what is the denominator of that fraction?
The denominator is the 10.
The 10. Good job fixing your answer. C, the distance is given in tenths, right? We have 10 1/10 pieces. You need to find the distance in hundredths. Hundredths is how many times the number of equal parts as tenths. So that sounded really crazy, but focus. What would I need to multiply 10 by, let's just call this A, to get to 100? Angie? 10. So, they say you need to find the distance in hundredths. Hundredths is how many times the number of the tenths? Is it 10 times the amount? 10 times. Nice job. Our next question is very easy. So I'm going to call a victim so everyone get prepared. What is the numerator of the fraction 7/10? Liam?
7.
Numerator 7. Nice job. Our numerator is 7. And now this one we really need to think. So everyone, make sure your brain is on, your ears are open, all that good stuff. Explain how you could use multiplication to find a fraction with the denominator of 100 that is equal to 7/10. We've done this a lot. It's just been a little bit. Noah, what do you think?
Don't we just have to times 10?
We have to multiply it. So before we move on, I don't even want to explain before I write it out in numbers, okay? So first, we need to write 7/10. Everyone, please write that with me. So we are going to use multiplication to find a fraction with a denominator of 100 that's equivalent to 7/10. So something has to equal 7/10. And did they give us the denominator?
Yeah.
What denominator do they say we need to use? Abby?
100.
100. Okay. Now this is equivalent fractions. We've done this, so everyone needs to remember how this works. So look up here and listen. When we want an equivalent fraction, we already know usually what the denominator needs to be. So I just think to myself, what did I multiply my 10 by to get to 100? Angie?
10.
10. We did times 10. If I multiply my denominator by 10, do I have to do the same thing to the top? I sure do. So 7 times 10 is what? No? 70. So 7/10 and 70 hundredths are equivalent. And we've already practiced this. This is just some review to lead us towards decimals. So now we can explain a little bit really fast. If we multiply our numerator and denominator by the same number, we can find an equivalent fraction. How about we just write that? Because that's more what I'm concerned about you knowing today. We can find an equivalent fraction by multiplying, and you can put multi-period because it's a long word, by multiplying our, I'm even going to say num and denom. I'll let you shorten. So by multiplying our numerator and denominator by the same value. But it is really important. If I choose to multiply the bottom by a 10, I have to do the same thing on the top. All right, we have one more quick thing to do. more than once. Yes, give me like 3 minutes. I'll do it again. Yep, bye.
Why don't you count?
All right. So, we kind of did skip over this page because I just want to show you this last picture here. Number 1 at the bottom. It's okay. We gotta keep going. What fraction of the model at the right is shaded? And we're going to write 2 different fractions. So first, could I count each individual tiny box?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see that this is 10, this is 10, and this is 10. So how many little boxes are shaded if each row has 10? Hudson?
30.
30. So we can say there are 30 little boxes out of 100, right? If we went through and counted them all, we can see that there are 10 rows, 10 columns, 100 boxes. So that picture does show 30 100ths. All right. We also want to show this in tenths. So let's think about it in tenths. Instead of thinking of all of these tiny boxes as separate, I want you to think about each of these as one column. I'm not going to draw the whole picture this way because it'll take too long right now. We're in a rush. But I could keep going. How many columns would I have? Hayden?
Well, you would have 10. And 10.
10.
Which?
So how many columns are shaded in? 3. So those are equivalent, okay? 30 100ths and 3 tenths. This was our first lesson on this today. This is probably seeming way easier than what we've been doing.
Yes.
This concept is the way to lead into decimals. So make sure, even though it's simple, you're getting it really locked in your head, okay? This is not our first day learning this. We're going to continue on it tomorrow. So there's no reason to panic. But I don't want anyone sitting there thinking, I don't need to listen because it's easy, okay? It's good foundational knowledge. All right, so friends at home, you will have a practice assignment. Do your best, and I will see you again tomorrow.